You've probably seen this viral clip, where a Ukrainian Bradley meets a Russian BTR hauling infantry on top in the middle of a deserted Ukrainian village. But what you didn't see is the real story behind it. That footage cuts off just as the Russian BTR takes a serious hit and rolls into some bushes. It looks like a meat grinder, and survival seems impossible. But at least 2 Russian soldiers crawl into a house nearby. The question is, how many more are still alive? Turns out, it's a whole hive of Russians in there. Fighting in that village lasted for weeks, one battle after another. The Ukrainians eventually had to call in an Abrams tank. Did that change the tide? You're about to find out. This isn't some made-up town like Vinewood in California. This is a real village on the front line, typical of many in the Donbass. No civilians left, just war. Right after the weird BTR encounter, the Bradley rolls back almost untouched. But aerial recon reports survivors in the area. So, Ukrainian troops returned to clean the place up. Rolling back into the village, the Bradley opens up with its 25mm Bushmaster cannon, shredding Russian positions. And that's when they discover something. The Russians had been using the abandoned house as an ammo depot. And when the rounds cook off, the explosion is epic. But wait, the enemy isn't wiped out. The Russian soldiers had taken shelter in the cellar, the kind Ukrainian villagers use to store potatoes, cool in the summer, warm in the winter, and usually filled with jars of homemade jams, pickled cucumbers, tomatoes, maybe even some smoked pork fat. Salo, if you know, you know. Smash that like button if impressed by Ukrainian cellar. Point is, a cellar is paradise, and once infantry gets in one, they'll wait out the apocalypse there. That night, a Ukrainian assault team moves in on the target house. They push through the ghost town under Bradley cover. Then the Bradley holds position on the road, ready to lay down fire. Tense moments. They find the Russians holed up in the cellar, offer them a chance to surrender. But apparently, they refuse. So, it becomes the end of the world for them. The cellar explodes. The Ukrainian squad gets back to the Bradley and heads to base. Victory? Not yet. Just days later, the Russians tried again, this time with 2 BTRs attempting to drop off infantry in the same village. But now, the Bradleys were waiting. They lit them up before they even reached the outskirts.
Давай, давай, давай! Давай!
It's hard to imagine anyone walking out alive from that massacre. The Bradleys emptied every last round. Another Russian attempt using the same route also fails. 2 more BTRs are torn apart. Their infantry tries to flee, but where do you run in an open field? And the wind did howl, and the wind did blow. A few days later, another try. This time, a Russian MTLB manages to break through and unloads troops into the bushes near some abandoned houses. But then the 25mm Bushmaster cannon on the Bradley lets loose. It rips the MTLB apart like it's made of paper. No surprise, the MTLB's side armor is just 7mm thick. The thing never stood a chance. Still, the Russian infantry scrambles and manages to hide in the underbrush and houses. Some are survivors from earlier fights. Now, there are more Russians in the village than ever before. Which means one thing: this frontline village in the gray zone is now effectively occupied, and could become a staging ground for further Russian advances. That cannot happen, because if you give Russians time, they'll dig into the earth like moles and become near impossible to dislodge. So, the Ukrainian unit responsible for this sector calls a meeting. The goal: wipe the enemy out of this village. But how? Option 1. Storm the village using assault groups. But that would take hours. Plenty of time for the Russians to send in drone support and cause serious casualties. Option 2. Level the village with artillery, Russian style. Then sweep through the rubble. Problem is, where do they get that many shells? Commanders choose the third option. Launch an immediate raid. Fast and brutal. Strike while the trail is hot. The countdown begins. Before you see what happens next, hit subscribe. You won't have time later. Engine check. Green. The Bradley's 600 horsepower Cummins diesel roars to life. This beast is like an American wild boar on steroids, hauling over 30 tons of armored steel through mud, sand, and chaos. The shells scream through the air like angry little comets. A full loadout isn't just metal, it's confidence. The 25mm Bushmaster automatic cannon is a battlefield multi-tool, shredding trees like grass. It's angry, relentless, unforgiving. It fires single shots, bursts, or short salvos, whatever the job needs. Beside it is the M240 machine gun. Bushmaster's loyal sidekick. Deadly, simple, and reliable. No frills, no mercy. This is how the duo fights. The forest fades away behind them. The Bradleys leave cover and roll into the open. Now it gets dangerous. Out in the flat terrain, enemy drones are always watching, but there's no turning back now. A pair of Bradleys pushes toward the village. On both sides, open fields broken up by a few tree lines. The road is flat, so they move fast. The outskirts come into view. Abandoned houses. Then, a landmine explosion. The lead Bradley takes the hit and keeps going. The enemy hides in the overgrown yards up ahead. One Bradley locks onto the right side of the street, the other watches the left. Inside both vehicles, hearts are pounding. Adrenaline. Responsibility. The moment is here, but everyone knows their job. The gunner watches the reticle. The driver grips the handles, and the commander waits for the right moment to give the order. Finally, fire. The Bushmaster hot dogs are on their way. The Bradley's targeting and stabilization system lets the crew fire accurately even while on the move. This is what gives American vehicles the edge during bold attacks like this one. The combo of autocannon and machine gun? Chef's kiss. Every soldier dreams of driving this blender. The trees are cracking, bark is flying, branches splinter like shrapnel. And you're thinking, how the hell do they still have ammo? But of course, ammo isn't unlimited. That's probably why the Ukrainian crews begin shifting toward the edge of the village. One starts backing out while the other reverses and keeps firing. Then they switch. Fluid, practiced, efficient. And then, what the hell is that? Some lunatic Russian tries sneaking up on the Bradley? Looks like it. He's clearly not carrying anti-tank gear. So, what's the plan? We'll never know, because the video cuts off right there. What we do know, as that pair of Bradleys pulls out, a new duo enters the narrow village streets. This time, it's another Bradley. And a Ukrainian Abrams tank. The sound of its engine rolls in like thunder from underground, the kind that wakes the dead in hell. We've got a separate video on our channel where Ukrainian troops talk about what it's like to operate the Abrams, but we'll stay focused on the battle here. When the Abrams cannon fires, you don't need commentary. Even the Russians hiding in nearby houses know it's over. Right here. Right now. And on a backdrop of smoke and shattered homes, the final beat of this scene drops. Boom. But the fight for this village isn't over. Look. That sky above the wrecked houses is heavy. The trees are stripped bare. Maybe from autumn, maybe from Bushmaster fire. And still, the Russians tried to land more infantry. No chance to survive. Hell must be getting crowded. You can see the result for yourself. There are thousands of villages like this across Ukraine. Once peaceful, now torn by trenches and shell craters. Where houses used to stand, where root cellars once stored potatoes and pickled vegetables, there's only scorched earth. Every single meter of this land is measured not in steps, but in lives. No foreign army will ever be able to call this place home. That's why, one battle after another. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button. It matters not just for us, but for the YouTube algorithm too. Drop a comment below. Would you like to see more Bradley rescue missions? Or maybe a full breakdown of how Ukrainian troops use the Bradley in assaults on Russian trenches and dugouts?